What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Command and Console. My name is Jason. Today it's another episode of Project PS2, and today is a day where I'm going to show you some of what I consider to be, for my collection, some of the big hitters that I finally picked up for the collection. Some of these games are truly holy grails for me, games that I never thought I would actually pick up or have the money to really put down on them, but this time yeah, I've pulled the trigger on some of these. Some of these were trade-in voucher pickups, and some of these were eBay and Vinted orders. So yeah, I'm really happy to grab some of these games. There's some awesome titles here that I highly recommend you try or check out. Without further ado, let's get to the pickups. The first game is a gladiatorial RPG, and it is called Gladius. It is from LucasArts, of all people, and it is basically a turn-based gladiator RPG. It is a really interesting game that starts off a bit slow, but then you build your character up and you become more efficient in attacking, moving, defense, all that kind of stuff. I used to love this game back in the day when I was younger, when it was on PS2, when I had a PS2. On a replay, like I said, it can take its time to really kind of get its hooks in you, and it hasn't really got its hooks in me yet, but I'm going to give it more time to really kind of simmer and really kind of bring its mechanics to light and actually get its mechanics in me, because I did used to love this game back in the day. It's really interesting how LucasArts used to make some really interesting titles. A lot of point and click games back in the day, and yeah, a gladiator RPG. Who would have thought of it? Let me know, guys, if you played this one. It kind of goes under the radar, I think. Not a lot of people remember this one. I remember, it's funny because I remember bringing this up to my brother, and I was like, oh man, I got this game. Do you remember this when we were younger? Gladius, what a game this was. And he had no recollection of it at all. So I think this is a game that kind of, not many people are going to really remember that much. As always, it's complete with manual. Had to be complete with manual, guys. Had to be. But yeah, a really interesting game. Can't say that I'm enjoying myself with it at the moment, because it's, like I said, it's a very slow starting game. You've really got to put time into it to really to open up with its mechanics. But at the moment, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, and I like the idea of a gladiator RPG. So I'm going to give it a bit more time to see if I can really get on with it. It's definitely one from my childhood that I really do have nostalgia for, but as an adult, it's taken this time to really kind of like grow on me at the moment. But that is Gladius. The next game is a game that I mentioned in the last episode of Project PS2. This game has slowly been creeping up in price, and I wanted to get it before it became unobtainable. And that is a game called Twisted Metal Black. I've got no real kind of nostalgic ties to the really early PS1 Twisted Metal titles, and those are the titles that have gone into stupid money territory right now. I think the first Twisted Metal game on PS1 is at a eye-watering £125. So I didn't want that to happen to this game, and it might still go in that direction. Never see this in the wild, and so when I saw it for £18 in my CEX, I knew it was time to grab it. Yeah, I do feel this is a game that's going to kind of climb up in the ranks in terms of pricing. So grab it. If you see it, grab it. It's currently at 18 quid. I can see it going up fairly quickly with the climate of retro games at the moment. You never know which way the wind's going to blow. And I think with Twisted Metal, it's only going to go up. So I really recommend you pick this up when you can while it's at an affordable price, because I feel like it might just follow suit with the other Twisted Metal titles and get really expensive. Hell, the game after this, the Twisted Metal reboot for PS3, is at 30 quid now, and I'm surprised this hasn't really kind of crept up with it, but I think it will. But that is Twisted Metal Black, a really fun vehicle combat game, loads of carnage, awesome vehicles to use and weapons to fire. Yeah, I love this game, it's great. That's Twisted Metal Black. This next game is a Resident Evil spin-off that I'm really glad to get in the collection. I'm slowly, and I do mean snail's pace, trying to chip away at the Resident Evil collection. There's still a bunch I need for the PS1, and there's still quite a few that I need for the PS4 collection. We've already completed the GameCube subset, and we've already completed the Wii subset. So I'm looking to complete the PS2 subset, the PS1 subset primarily, and we might move on to 360, and I might actually skip PS3 for the time being. But anyway, this game is a spin-off. It's called Resident Evil Dead Aim. Now, I picked this up yesterday from CEX, £22, complete with manual. I had a voucher, so it was prime time for me to grab this while I had voucher in tow. I played this for quite a long time last night. This might be the most underrated, underappreciated, people never talk about it, Resident Evil titles I've ever played. It is so unique in the way it kind of mixes two things together. So picture this. You're going to see footage on screen anyway, but picture this. So it's over the shoulder, third person survival horror, usual stuff, right? Usual over the shoulder exploration stuff. But once you go into combat, it goes into more of a light gun style interface, where it's straight up first person. You've got a reticle on the screen and you're just shooting zombies. It does say on the case here that it is compatible with the GunCon 2. Unfortunately, because I'm playing my games through a flat screen HD television, the gun won't be compatible with that TV. So I am playing it with just a PlayStation 2 controller, and it is a bit wonky, I won't lie. The controls do take some time to get used to, and but once you get used to how you're going to navigate the game with the weird combat controls and the way you move around, I got used to it within an hour of play, and I must say I really have a good time with this game. It's so fun. I don't know why it's fun, it's just super fun. The story is just shit. Don't worry about the story. The voice acting is dreadful, but some of the worst ever dreadful. But the actual core gameplay in this spin-off is surprisingly good. Like, surprisingly so. I highly recommend everyone, if you love Resident Evil, you've not heard of this or have not played it, it's definitely a game to check out if you can find it cheap enough. I was super surprised how good it is. I can't wait to go back on it. I want to play more of it. That's how much I enjoyed this game. It really kind of, I don't know, it scratches that survival horror itch that I've had for a little while. I can talk about this game for quite a while if I wanted to, because I played hours of it last night. It captivated me so well in the way it's designed. It's such an interesting and strange mix, but I think it works. Obviously, it probably will play better with the GunCon, and the PlayStation mouse probably would be better, but just getting used to using it with the regular controller, I just think I'm having lots of fun with it. It's a lot of fun. That's Resident Evil Dead Aim. These last two games are truly Holy Grail titles for me. They are two games that were on the list for the PlayStation project from day one. I had to own these in the collection, and I'm so excited that I do. The first game is Drakengard. Now, Drakengard is an exceptionally great Japanese action game. Basically, it has two forms of gameplay modes. It has ground combat, which is more similar to like a hack and slash Musou game. So you're just cutting down waves of enemies. And then you can call down a dragon. And then you have aerial dragon combat, which is awesome. This game is just so much fun. I remember playing absolutely loads of it as a kid, absolutely adoring it. Definitely one of those more kind of prominent memories on PS2 for me. I think it's so underappreciated, so underrated. Nobody talks about it. It's a game that hasn't really gone crazy up in price. It's between 15 and 20 quid, and I think that's a good price to pay for this, because you get tons of gameplay for your buck in this. I love this game. I'm so happy to have it for the collection. It's one of my favourite games on PS2 as well. So I love this game. It didn't quite make the cut in my favourite PS2 games ever list, but But yeah, it's still it's up there in like my top 15 for definite. That's Drakengard. And following up Drakengard, I never ever seen this game in the wild, so I went the eBay route for this one. I've not played this, so I don't know what I'm going to get myself into, but I've heard it's basically the first game, but a little bit better. Drakengard 2. I can't express how excited I am that I own this game. I didn't even realise this existed for a long time until I saw someone play Drakengard 3 on the PS3, and then I was like, wait, there's a third game? There must be a second game, right? There must be. So I remember looking for this one and realised that it was a PS2 game that came out in 2006. So it was a really late PS2 game. Since then, it's gone up in price quite a lot. It's not a mega expensive game, but it sits at about the 40 and 50 price range. So I never see it in the wild, never ever ever. So I knew I had to just, when I had the money spare and I knew it was time to pull the trigger, I knew I had to go the eBay route. But yeah, I don't have any regrets at all. Even though I haven't played it yet, I'm just happy it's in my collection. To have both Drakengard games is awesome, and yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping on this one. I love the cover art on this as well. It's awesome. That kind of Japanese kind of anime style is wicked, and yeah, it just looks great. It looks like everything the first game did, but better. I'm super excited to get this. As always, especially for the money I paid for this, it had to be complete with manual. Drakengard and Drakengard 2 are the two big Holy Grail games for me in the collection. There are other big games I want for the collection, like Silent Hill 2 for example, and every time I go to buy it, it's gone up £20 more than it was before. So I feel like Silent Hill 2 is gonna become unattainable. They might not be massively expensive, but they are fairly rare in terms of you don't see them very often. But I'm super happy to have both of these games in the collection. Highly recommend the first game in particular. Drakengard is fantastic. Looking forward to jumping on Drakengard 2. So that's it guys, that is the little stack of PS2 games for this episode of Project PS2. Mostly sort of, I would argue, big hitter games. They're more kind of hovering around that £20 price point or over. Yeah, I highly recommend Resident Evil Dead Aim. It's such an odd combination of styles, of genres. I think if you could get past the wonky controls, I think you could find yourself having a really good time with that game. I definitely did with my 3 or so hours of play yesterday. Gladius is an interesting game from LucasArts. That's kind of like a gladiator RPG. If you like your kind of, you know, meaty, kind of got a lot of mechanics in there, it's quite deep kind of RPG games, turn-based combat, I think you might find something to like there. And yeah, Twisted Metal Black is Twisted Metal Black. If you love your vehicle combat, you're going to love that one. But yeah, really happy to get these in the collection. Big hitter heaven for me, guys. I'm super happy about that, especially for Drakengard 2. Super happy to have this one, guys. Super happy. So that is it, guys. Let me know any of your comments on these games in the comments down below. And as always, let's continue to build a PlayStation 2 collection.